My clock says 6:30. You guys okay? We get started? Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. At this time, I would like to offer our condolences to George Goulson's family. Mr. Goulson was a longtime superintendent here in the Brandon Valley School District, and we received word today that he has passed away. So could you please join me for a moment of silence in remembrance of Mr. Goulson, please? Thank you very much. With that, roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Ullum.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Satcher.
Yes.
Elcott. Scott.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The agenda has been amended under bills and claims district accounts number 2. There's been a late addition, and 3 there's been a late addition, as well as the information only in the personnel section. Number 21 has been amended. So if there's no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. There are no conflict of interest disclosure or waiver requests this evening. That takes us to approval of our minutes from our regular meetings on May 10th and May 24th. If there are no questions or concerns on those, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Community input, I have not heard of any of that tonight, so that takes us to our financial items, bills and claims. Mr. Lundberg.
Any questions the board had on the listing that we provided? Had a few noted on page 2. You'll see quite a few bills in here for the new school technology equipment, byte speed, 63,000 desktop computers for the new school. Page 3, we had a big quarterly payment to East Dakota Co-op Teach Well Solutions of $323,000 for all of the services that they provide. Again, on page 5, High Point Networks, we had some network equipment for just under $25,000. Page 8, Pesca Construction, $1.3 million, brings a total paid to date of $12.5 million on the Inspiration Elementary School project. Just down from there, Pro Acoustics classroom amplification systems of $28,000 for the new school. Lastly, on page 10, we had a bond payment for the Fred Assam and high school addition bonds, $215,000. Total bills and claims of $2.3 million, $2,304,635. The advance payments breakdown of $4,502 is itemized for you. A lot of pay vouchers, regular pay vouchers of $120,000. Each year in June, we have payments for unused sick days in excess of 80. That amounted to $48,150. And then we also in June have pay for unused personal days per the contract of $104,375. Lastly, food service bills and claims totaled $128,692.
Any questions for Mr. Lundberg tonight on the bills and claims? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, the cash report for the month of May, $16.1 million coming into the month. We had receipts this month, a big month of receipts, $10,124,000. $9.5 million of that is our second half of our tax draw. There was just under $4 million of disbursements, left $22.3 million in cash, $9.1 million in the general fund, just under $6 million in the capital outlay fund, $1.7 million in the special education fund, $978,000 in the bond redemption fund, $60,000 in the enterprise fund, and $4.4 million in the capital projects fund. The $10,124,000 is itemized on the next 2 pages. As I said before, the Minnehaha County tax draw is amounted to a total of $9.5 million. If you really read in detail, there was no state aid payment that came in this month. That it came in the 1st of June. I think Memorial Day somebody stopped looking at the calendar or whatever out in the state of South Dakota, and so they erred in getting that out, but it came the 1st of June. $3.1 million of investments. The payroll and benefits summary for the month of May was $2,153,440. There was 1 extra paid in-service day for the teaching staff in there, teachers and principals. The actual financial statements, first 2 pages of revenue, very consistent with last year on there. General fund is 91.7% versus 90.91% last year. Most of the revenue numbers are running right at the same pace as last year. The expenditures, the general fund, you'll see is 89.65% versus 89.75% last year. So that would tell us that the general fund is going to come in at the end of the year of 98.5% to 99% total expended. Capital outlay fund, nothing to note there. Special education fund is a little behind last year just because of the timing of some of those East Dakota co-op payments. Nothing to note on the bond redemption fund. The capital project fund follows $18.2 million of receipts and $13.7 million of expenditures. The difference between those is the $4.4 million that I talked about in the cash report. Shows there. The financial statement for the food service department shows that net income.
Thank you.
Net income of $783,000. As I said previously, that's kind of where that's headed. It's going to show a tremendous profit for the FY21. Lastly is the trust and agency statement, $184,191 held for others. Entertain any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Lundberg tonight? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That takes us to administration reports. Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few things to update the board on here this evening. In terms of Inspiration Elementary, just want to highlight a couple of key dates. Furniture install will begin on July 15th. Substantial completion is scheduled for the 30th. We anticipate our administration and the office clerical help there in the main office. So Principal Palmer and her secretary occupying that space on August 2nd. Punch list is set to be complete for August 13th. Teachers will have access to their respective rooms the following day, so August 14th is when we anticipate having access to those classrooms. Would note that we don't even have a contract day until August 19th. New staff in service is August 18th. First day of school is scheduled for August 25th. So those are some key dates as we look to the future regarding Inspiration. Regarding staffing out at Inspiration, we are finalizing the classified staffing component of that and anticipate being ready to go in the month of July, with all of those respective positions being staffed out. Budget process overview, I guess the last big ticket item to note is we will have our public budget hearing on July 12th. It is important to note that that will begin at 6 p.m. The regular annual meeting is scheduled following that at 6:30. Pandemic response planning for next year. We'll reconvene that group in the month of July. We have 3 meeting dates specifically scheduled, and then anything that we produce in terms of mitigation strategies will be finalized and reported out to all of our patrons on the week of August 2nd. Distance Learning Academy is still an option for families to utilize in the event that they would like to be off-site due to COVID-19. I just wanted to provide a real quick early sketch up of what the Brandon Valley High School addition is tentatively scheduled to look like. Again, general classroom space, ground floor special education space, and science lab classrooms are our priorities there. We'll work to maximize land usage, upgrade our east facility face, and also have a minimal impact to parking. So to acclimate yourself, you can see the Performing Arts Center. In the image, that would be the north side of our respective building, and the addition is basically outlined. The 2-story addition is outlined with the 2 red highlights, and then going south from that corner towards the library. So just a high-level image for you to get an idea of what that addition will look like. Timeline-wise, we are still in the process of planning. We'll bid that project here this winter. We'll be under construction over the course of the 22-23 school year. We'll be open for the fall of 23. So that's what the process looks like. Summer lunch program. Every Tuesday, June 1st through July 27th. I would note that week 1, we had more participation that week than we did any week last summer. So it was a record week to start. And then week 2, we had another record week. So hats off to our director, Andrea Cruz, and her staff for the great work that they're doing with that program. Just a couple of school board items to note, a couple upcoming policy items that we spoke about very briefly at our last meeting. The public school exemption activity participation and the medicinal cannabis will be items that we will work through policy-wise here in the coming months. What I can tell you is the reason that we're not bringing forward first drafts at this point in time is because we're still waiting for some guidance from DOE, as well as the Board of Education. There's a process for adopting rules regarding the medicinal cannabis. So just know that they're coming. I previously shared with you what I believe our approach will be in terms of medicinal cannabis, and that has not changed. So just be aware that those items will be coming here in an upcoming meeting. School board election scheduled for tomorrow. Here later this evening in the agenda, you'll be approving the polling sites in those respective election boards. And the one item I wanted to note is the polling site in Valley Springs is at the American Legion, not the Valley Springs Elementary Band Room, as maybe is tradition because of the construction there in front of the Valley Springs Elementary School. So polling site in Valley Springs is at the American Legion. Annual meeting, Monday, July 12th, budget hearing at 6 p.m., business meeting at 6:30. Link Summer Reading Program, would just note that we again have collaborated with Siouxland Library and Pizza Ranch. All of our links are able to participate. Look forward to them completing that process, as leisure reading during the summer is critical for our student success. Looking forward to next school year, a couple calendar items. July 6th through the 30th, bus passes will be on sale, and then we'll enter into our pre-school in-service and workshop schedule. August 25th is the first day of school. I did upload a few images regarding Inspiration Elementary that I would share with you. This can give you an idea of what the exterior finished product will look like. They're currently in the process of completing that sheet metal paneling on the front and around the school. This would be the front entrance. The playground would be to the left. So this is the commons entrance looking south out into the parking lot. This would be the commons. Gymnasium entrance would be right in that vicinity. Gym floor is scheduled to begin install next week. Music room, this is now complete. Carpet base has gone in. Waiting on smart board installation and that various type of thing. Main office storage area, so this would be behind the main office. Secretarial area. Teacher workroom and break room area. This would be the hallway, so to help acclimate yourself, these double doors here would be entrance into the library media center, and you are looking down the hallway towards the commons. So at the end of this hallway, this direction would be the common space. Library media center. This is the kindergarten wing hallway. Would note we expect carpet installation to begin later this week. Kindergarten classrooms. Again, carpet base has been installed, so now we're in the process of that technology, those various systems that we utilize within our classrooms for install as we wrap up. This would be the 1st through 4th grade hallway. The locker area, just wanted to note that we are utilizing an epoxy underneath our lockers. We've moved away from the tile that has to be waxed as opposed to the epoxy that doesn't require that maintenance, so that's just an item to note. And then this is a image of a classroom in that wing. Restrooms in that wing. There are restrooms on both the north and the south end of the 1st and 4th grade wing. Mirror images of one another. And then this would be the elementary school playground area. Ground's all prepped up, and we are awaiting that playground install and then the surfacing install, which is on schedule. With that, I would certainly entertain any questions you have.
I've got one. I guess I would just like to stress, like I stressed last meeting, if you're going to get bus passes, get them in July.
Last one is Title I Part A, supplement, not supplant. It is the policy of the Brandon Valley School District that employment of teachers, administrators, and other staff from state and local funds shall be equivalent among schools without regard to Title I Part A staff employed in eligible schools. Equivalent shall mean when teachers, administrators, and other staff are assigned to schools, student and staff ratios shall be determined in order that services with state and local funds in schools receiving Title I Part A services are at least comparable to services provided among schools in the district which are not receiving Title I Part A funds. It is the policy of the Brandon Valley School District that provisions for curriculum materials and instructional supplies shall be equivalent among schools without regard for Title I Part A funds. Would certainly entertain any questions you have. They will be brought forward for adoption at our second meeting in June. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Larson. That takes us to our general business items, number 1 through 11. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Personnel, consent items. I would entertain a motion to approve items number 1 through 20.
So moved.
So moved.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Number 21 is an information only. Under central office, building permit applications, it looks like there are a few for review if you are interested. That takes us to the Board of Education. There are a couple thank you notes there from staff, one for service recognition and gift card, and one for retirement bell. That takes us to formal board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to share tonight?
Mine is,
President, I have a safety committee meeting report, if I could share that. So on June 2nd, the morning of June 2nd, we had a safety committee meeting chaired by high school principal Mark Schleckaway. Superintendent Larson was there. Numerous administrators were also present, along with Officer Sarda, who took over as our resource officer kind of mid-year this year. So quickly, a couple things that went through. Officer Sarda was able to give us some of his observations from the second semester, as well as the concerns for student safety, which included a need for potentially for additional exterior video surveillance camera at the high school, which will be looked into, and a need to increase student community awareness and so forth for the prevention regarding vaping, which I would tell you is a common concern happening in school districts probably across the country, but certainly across schools in South Dakota that I've been in contact with. But it doesn't mean that we don't need to do our part in trying to prevent it. We brainstormed some solutions and ideas and observations in that regard, and it's just something that we'll have to continue to battle. The 2021 COVID-19 pandemic response plan was discussed, and an overview of the next steps for planning for 21-22 are also reviewed. There's a large collaborative work group, as you heard earlier, that will reconvene on July 14th to get us ready for the upcoming school year. With the inclusion of Inspiration Elementary into our district, we need to now move them into the district safety manual, and so that's in progress and underway. Simple updates to the reunification process will be necessary for the upcoming school year, simply because we've had some staff changes, and obviously we're bringing on Inspiration Elementary. So that the board knows, Mark Schleckaway will remain as the chair of this district safety committee, and he'll be our district safety designee for this particular school year, with the idea that Assistant Principal Paula from the high school will take on that role in the 22-23 school year. Safety committee discussed a public service announcement plan and our safety goal and priorities for the coming school year. And obviously vaping is one of the things we've already talked about, distracted driving, cell phones, all of those kinds of things, as we continue to communicate with our students and helping them make great choices. This committee will meet again in August to discuss, I'm sure, the implementation of the plan for next year. And so that's kind of what happened at the meeting. Any questions for me?
Thank you very much, Dr. Talcott.
You bet.
all the board members and administration probably received already an invite, reminder for the ASBSD conference or convention coming up August 5th and 6th. We just want to put in a plug that two of the large topics that will be discussed is the medical cannabis as well as homeschool. So if that is something that you are able to register for and make, there are some hot topics to be discussed and some great keynote speakers.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything tonight? Alternative Ed meets tomorrow night at 5. Hearing no other formal board reports, there is one travel report there for your review. Otherwise, that takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for coming.